my right, farthest over, is Jack Holt, who is a graduate of North Andover High School and is also a person I call the Raptor Guy. My name is Karen Klein. I'm the Poet Laureate of North Andover, and I also have a great love of the environment and the outside world, because that's where poetry happens. Children need to see the outside world, put away their screens, and get outside to see the birds, the water, the woods, everything you can think of that will give them inspiration to not only do science and chemistry and math, but will also give them a love of literature. Taking a child out and reading in a wonderful wood is one of the greatest things in the world, to have them remember that book. So don't forget to do that. But Jack Holt is with us, and then Michael Goryansky is next to me, and Michael and I have been working together for many, many years on environmental issues in North Andover and in other places also. He lives now in Boxford. Jack was originally from North Andover. Were you born in North Andover? Was that your town?
Well, Lawrence General Hospital, but
okay.
That's where the parents are living.
We're living in North Andover, right. And to my left here is Glenn, and please pronounce your last name.
I'm Glenn Espley.
Espley, and Glenn is the president or the director of the Trails Committee, the Friends of North Andover Trails. And do we have the book, the trail book? This is one I would like to mention right now, because if you care about North Andover trails, you want to know about this book. This is a trail guide that even Michael gave his imprimatur to. Did you like it?
Yes, the book is outstanding. It really is.
It's a beautiful work with maps and photographs and then descriptions. And there are lots of different kinds of trail guides around, and this is probably one of the nicest ones you've ever seen. It's available in several different places. Is it in Butcher Boy, I think?
Pick it up at Butcher Boy, Rockies.
Yep. Rockies Hardware.
Smollett Farms.
Smollett Farm, when they're opening in probably the next couple months.
And Boston Hill Farm, too.
Boston Hill Farm when they open on Route 114. We're here today, though, because of a question that I had sent to me by a man from Colorado, Fort Collins, Colorado. And Mr. William Bevel is the communications manager of the Bird Conservancy of the Rockies. And he's heard about Jack Holt's work. Jack has been, how many years has this been? Too many to remember.
Well, I got my banding license when I was 18, and I've been doing it ever since then.
Okay.
And I'm 76 now, 75
wow.
now.
So that's almost 60 years.
It depends on any length of time the projects are on, 30 years or better. You know, like the Eagle Project in Michigan, I worked 30 years on that.
Okay, okay. Yeah. How many different states have you worked in?
Mostly
5 or 6?
Yeah, easily that.
Yep.
I never went west of the Mississippi except for the Eagle Project on the Continental Divide.
Right.
Well,
this is with Mr. Dr. Ellis.
My segment of that book is in Pennsylvania, not
right. No, but I mean he was doing things in.
He was doing things out there.
Out there, he lives in California.
And this Wildlife Research Institute is my last paying job. Out there as a raptor biologist, catching and banding golden eagles as they migrated down the Continental Divide.
Was that which state? Was that in Michigan?
No, that was in Montana.
Montana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was, I got like $5 a day plus expenses.
Okay. Wow. It was a love. It was absolutely a love. You wanted to do it.
Yes.
You were happy to do it. But Mr. Bevel has sent me some questions. But first of all, what about this book, which was from 1966?
That was back when
you wrote this.
I was co-author of it.
Right, co-author with Mr.
I was
Ostang.
a park ranger at the time, and Ron Austin had gotten the contract from Lippincott
Living Books
to do the World of the Red-tailed Hawk, and he'd done that.
Okay.
And he got the second contract to do the World of the Great Horned Owl.
Okay.
Well, the deadline was getting closer and closer, and he was snowed under by other things, and he asked me if I would help him out by doing the manuscript for the Owl book, and he would supply most of the pictures. So we got together, and that was roughly the way it was divided up. I did the text for the most part.
Right.
And he did the photography for the most part.
Oh, okay. There's a lot of photography from Cape Cod.
What?
There's photography here from Cape Cod.
Well, I took those. Those are just.
Those are yours. Okay. Of a pine bog, I believe.
Those are habitat shots. Yeah.
Where they live.
I did those from Massachusetts because that was easy enough to do.
Right. Do you see a great loss of habitat over the years?
Oh yeah, plenty of it.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's also in transition. It was lost back when I was in high school, but it was in transition from that point on.
Okay.
For example, there were still a lot of open pasture lands that were going back to Mother Nature. They were starting to get grown up to
woods.
To woods.
Okay.
And unless they were bush hogged regularly, then it ended up that they now have 30-year-old trees on them.
Okay. Yes.
So everything was changing habitat-wise around here.
Right. So
and the fields that were used, great horned owls were used to hunting open country. They're open country hunters. We're turning into shopping centers and housing developments.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
anything that was open.
Things were in a flux, in a flux.
Right.
And everything was changing.
Right.
And we now have, we used to have a little bird called a kestrel around here, sparrowhawk, missing in abundance.
Wow.
I had boxes for them when I was still riding around on a motor scooter. I used to take 2 boxes at a time out with these things and put them up all around North Andover and the environs.
Okay.
And
for this little bird?
For these little falcons, yeah.
Okay.
And I could band 100 or 2 any given season. They had like 5 or 6 young when they had a good year.
Oh, so they had a large
so I could
nest.
band a couple of hundred in a season if things were going well with the boxes.
Okay.
And now there are no more kestrels in this area.
How do you spell the name? K-E?
Kestrel, K-E-S-T-R-E-L.
Oh, Kestrel.
American kestrel is a European version too.
So do they have them out in other places besides New England?
Well, presumably they all went somewhere, or they died off, one or the other. They're not particularly long livers.
I see.
But the species in itself is the most common, one of the most common in the small hawks in the United States.
Okay.
But in this particular instance, for a number of years there, it was certainly the commonest one in North Andover.
Mm-hmm. But no more.
That fell by the wayside, and it was strictly because of all the pasture, the ex-pasture lands were growing back up. There were no more grasshoppers. These birds ate mostly grasshoppers.
I see.
And
so that would
with
be
no
with
more
the,
grasshoppers, they had no more food
be,
supply.
That would be with the farm animals, like the cattle pasture.
Right. Yeah.
That's where they could be.
Well, these things were still being phased out, and they weren't much in use. Actually, there were some that were still in pastures, but there were the old dairy farmers were being phased out of this area at that time, and they were falling by the wayside right and left.
Right.
And so in the interim, the fields that they had were grown up and the right size for plenty of grasshoppers at the time.
Right.
Pasture lands and stuff like that.
Yep.
But then that got worse and worse because the rougher the growth became, and then finally it ends up with small trees taking root.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
you lose the pasture.
So that's the end of that habitat, basically, and no more kestrels.
Right. They had to go someplace else.
And
wherever that might be.
Very similar things were happening in the owl department too, because all of the, like I said, the great horned owls was the only dominating owl that we had.
Which
the big
is this
one.
book, yes.
And
the screech owls.
And the screech owls,
Yes.
they were here in abundance.
Right.
And I had a bunch of boxes up for them, too. All in all, about 100.
Okay. But no more.
100,
wow.
And we used to go around and you had to clean. The problem with the screech owl boxes is that they're excellent squirrel homes, too. So if you wanted to get screech owls in them, you had to go around and clean them out just before screech owl nesting season.
Or the squirrels would
take over. The squirrels would be in them all winter long, and they wouldn't be able to get in, that's all.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The screech owl wouldn't allow it to be in.
In the hope that the owls can slip in there before the squirrels got back into them.
Right.
So that was a regular thing every year to do for the screech owls.
Jack, sorry to interrupt you. I don't really even know what an owl box is. Do you?
That's
would you
have
happen to
right
have
here.
one
Yeah,
here?
you want.
Now this is the screech owl box?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Well, screech owl kestrel, if I wanted to get screech owl specifically, it was like a 4-inch hole.
Okay.
See how big that is?
Yep.
But if I wanted to get kestrels in it, then they were
Be
so much
smaller.
smaller. It would be smaller, 3.5 maybe,
Okay.
or 3 even.
So how many boxes were made of that size?
Oh, well, you know, 495 was coming through at the time, and they were dumping all their plywood, cement
refuse
over at the north end of a road landfill, you know.
Oh, over DPW?
Well, it was used to be the one that was off of Holt Road.
Oh,
you know,
yes,
remember?
of course. Okay.
Okay,
yes.
that was named after my grandfather,
Oh,
incidentally.
okay, that's what I thought.
And I was going over there with my motor scooter and salvaging all this
wood.
cement farm woods
Oh, okay.
and scraps that could make the rest of the box.
Right,
Sure.
right.
Bringing them back to the farm
Okay.
and turning out these.
Okay.
And they mounted nicely on each side of my motor scooter.
Oh,
up behind.
like saddlebags.
Almost like saddlebags.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
And so I put them up 2 at a time around
Okay.
town like that.
Okay.
And I had enough room in the little container in the back of the seat to put my climbing gear in and stuff like
Okay.
that was needed.
Okay.
So that was how I
Move things around.
got things going. And
Now, did you?
I apparently was the only one that was doing this to any great extent, because when the Fish and Wildlife Service wanted to establish a colony of these kestrels down at Patuxent Research Center,
Oh, I saw that in the book. Yes.
they called me because they knew I had all these kestrel boxes
Already out.
and because they could tell by the banding records I'd been submitting. And they called me and they wanted to arrange to collect a number of these so they could establish a breeding colony of them down at Patuxent
I see.
and do little DDT experiments on.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they promised me they wouldn't give them lethal dosages, but they wanted to feed them little dosages and see what effect it had on their
breeding,
on their abilities to breed.
Yes.
So in effect, that's how they really got scientific papers made up that fortified this theory that
with Rachel Carson.
And the falconers had established that
it's dangerous.
Eggshell thinning phenomenon.
Of course, and the DDT was the cause.
Right, but anyway, they sent their biologist up here. His name was Fred Schmidt.
Okay.
And me and Fred, at that point in time, I'd been out in Ohio 5 years working as a park ranger, and nobody had been doing any maintenance on any of the old boxes.
Oh, the ones here.
That I had up over here, and they called me up and they proposed that I come up there. They'd fly me up there, and we'd go out and check these boxes, and see if they had anything in them, or were still up.
Was there any life in them? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we collected a whole bunch, about 30 young ones, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
So, that's how they got established down there at Patuxent with the...
Now that's where?
Maryland, down in Maryland.
In Maryland.
Yeah.
Now, how do you go about collecting kestrels?
Well, I'd climb up the tree and reach in and haul out the
babies.
youngsters
So
and
just
put them
pull
in
them
a
right out?
That's
bag.
just what he did. You should see him work on a tree.
Now, are these boxes pretty high up in the tree, or are they about the?
Oh, no,
where can I expect to
they're
find
maybe
them?
20 feet, 30 feet at the most.
But higher than your typical birdhouse.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, you
my
can't
gosh.
reach them with a
Oh,
ladder
yeah.
for the
No.
most part, but
No, right.
you know, they're not really high when you're doing eagle nests that are 100 feet from the ground.
That's
They're not
different.
very high.
That's different. That's what's in this book, and it's just amazing. How far up? Now, first of all, what kind of trees are they usually? Are they usually in a deciduous tree, or are they in the?
You're talking about bald eagles?
Yeah, the eagles are
Bald
in.
eagle. Bald eagles normally in Michigan,
Okay.
about half of them were in pine trees.
Yeah, that's
White
what I thought.
pines. White
Yep.
pines.
Okay.
And the other
At the
half,
top.
the other half,
At the top.
way the hell at the top.
Yes.
Yeah. And the other half were in, believe it or not, aspens.
Oh, really?
Yep, various species of aspen.
They
but
were
they're-
strong enough to hold it.
Oh yeah, but
Wow.
certainly those were not nearly as high
No.
as the pine nest.
Mm-hmm.
But they have big crotches in them. That's what the eagle needs, as long as they have an open access to the crotch.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And that's the reason why they're in the pine trees, because the pines were generally left over from the days when they cut the whole state of Michigan over. Every pine tree that was on it, almost.
They took it.
And yeah, and there were a few that they left up for seed trees. And these things were the ones that are sticking out above everything else.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
so they're very attractive to the eagles. They have access from any direction on them.
Right.
And they'll stick a nest up in any one of those.
They're real good at finding one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
they
no
know how to
problems
find
with
it.
Yeah.
Yep. Now, how did you two meet?
Mike and I?
Mhm.
Yes. Well, I moved to North Andover from Andover
Mm-hmm.
and lived at
Mill Pond.
Mill Pond, which is North Andover area. And Jack and I used to walk the woods, and I assisted Jack in bringing out nesting cans to put up in a tree so that.
And you
that
also
one
brought
on-
the
that
people
one on
to help.
Osgood Hill was a memorable.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, what about at the power lines over at Haverhill? That's another one that you did a lot of nesting. Owls, was it mainly owls?
Great horned owls.
Yes.
right.
Yes.
Yep.
And some of those were well attended by.
You have to have a good
Hundreds of
audience.
people.
You have to have a good audience to scare the mother
we
away.
always had plenty.
Yeah,
Kids love
Yep.
owlets.
And
And
babies.
you can lower them
these
down and they can
tiny-
pass them around and pet
Yep.
them and do whatever they want.
And
with
you're
them.
not hurting
Yeah.
them.
So you would go up there, get some baby owlets, and
Drop
bring
them down
down.
on
Yeah,
in a basket.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, where's the mother owl during all
Oh,
of
not
this?
happy.
Giving me hell
Such grief.
and back again.
Tell us what you wore.
Well, I
You
used to
had-
have a motorcycle helmet
Right.
that I wore, and it had special shoulder pads on,
Yep.
heavy leather shoulder pads, because they hit you as much on the back and the shoulders
they try the
do
head.
on the head.
Yep.
But basically, they come for whatever is sticking up there, and you gotta have somebody on the ground telling you who's coming, when she's coming.
Right.
Or, you
Which
know.
side she's coming from.
And this is pretty critical when you're in my situation. Well, that's how I lost an eye here to a goshawk, that
Yes.
I didn't get the signals fast enough that she was coming in.
And she came in from the left.
Well, she came in when I was about to look out in that direction, and she was
Yes.
coming.
And you didn't know she was coming.
And all of a sudden she was there.
Yep. They're one of the worst ones to deal with, aren't they? The goshawk?
No, they don't, not in terms of the force of the blow or anything, or the damage that they can do.
Okay.
The only reason why she did so much damage because she hit me right in the
The
face.
timing of it was wrong.
But
Yeah.
horned owls by far are the ones that if you feel like you're being hit by a baseball bat,
Really.
and if you don't have any protection on, you're being slashed by eight knives at the same time.
Right. The talons.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it mainly just the female, or does the male help too?
Mainly the female.
Okay.
The male will sneak in there every once in a while when you're not expecting
Okay.
and do the same thing, but
Not as often.
mainly it's the female that gives
Okay.
you the problems.
Yep.
So backing up a little bit, so you're in most of these nests because you're banding the birds, right?
The babies.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what is bird banding, and why do you do it, and how did you get into banding birds?
Well, I got into it mainly because of an old professor over at Brooks School named Oscar Root, who was a bird bander. And he came out to where I used to live because there was a certain species of sparrow in the field.
Okay.
And
that's on Farnham Street.
This is on South Bradford Street.
Oh, South Bradford before
Whittier's
Farnham.
Farm.
Okay.
And he couldn't escape me because I knew his vehicle. It was an old Chrysler. And I was, the obnoxious brat that tagged along every time he came out there.
With questions.
That was the only access he had to get to that field.
Okay.
So I was there every time.
Oh my gosh. Questions and questions and questions.
And yeah. So anyway, he became my mentor.
Uh-huh.
And when even before I got a banding license of my own, he would let me take his bands out.
Okay.
And when I was going to North Andover High, when it was up where the middle school is now,
right,
he would pick me up. I'd play hooky.
Oh, gee.
He'd give me a bunch of bands, and he'd pick me up, take me over to Harold Parker State Forest, and turn me loose.
Oh my gosh.
And then I'd hitchhike home.
You loved it. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So anyway, he, like I say, he was my mentor.
So
and
those were done by yourself then? You were banding those by yourself?
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Right. But anyway, Oscar, he was there every inch of the way, fostering me. I did an article for National Audubon magazine.
Oh, okay.
And called Counting Small Owls at Night. Well, that was Oscar's title,
okay.
Actually, which he edited for me and submitted and all that.
Okay.
When I was still in high school, I wrote that.
Wow, that's wonderful.
And wow. Anyway, so he was there, right? Yeah, and he, like I say, he was a bander, and so he finally, like I said, he would. He knew that I was basically a pet keeper.
Uh-huh.
And I was going around and thieving all these things illegally. Red-shouldered hawks we had in abundance. Kestrels, I always had a couple in my room.
Oh my gosh.
Screech owls I always had too.
Did your mother know?
Well, yes and no. I mean, they were supposed to be confined to a certain room, but they seldom were.
Yeah, they sort of got out. Oh.
But anyway, I would. What was I?
So how long would you have the babies until they were like for a couple weeks or what?
Oh, I would keep them. I would what they call back hack them. We lived on the farm.
Right.
So I'd take them out and release them when they were able to fly.
And what were you feeding them when they were in the house?
Well, that was terrible. Mostly horse meat.
Oh, so it wasn't an animal. You didn't go out and find mice.
No. Well, sometimes I'd pick up stuff on the road and give it to them, but it was so messy to deal with that it was so much easier.
Just to give them meat.
To give them things like liver and kidney.
Okay.
Were also good for them. The organs were
better. Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah.
But they still needed some roughage.
Okay.
Or they get bound up.
Yep.
In the crop department.
Right.
So anyway, I had all these things every year, and I raided nests every year. And Oscar knew that I knew where there were a lot of nests.
Yep.
And so he gave me a bunch of bands, and he said, "Do you think that you could, the ones that you don't take?"
Yes.
He said,
"Band them.
Put bands on them for me." Know? And I said, "Sure."
Yep.
So everywhere I went, I carried a string of Oscar's band, a couple of strings of Oscar's bands for whatever I might encounter.
Yeah, run into some. Okay.
And so that's how I got started in there. And then finally, it became more important than the pets that I was keeping. And then he encouraged me to get a banding license of my own, which you could do at 18 back in those days with somebody to vouch for you.
Okay.
And so that's how I got started into the banding part of the operation. But
and how did your name get around to other states? How did they find out about your work? Who contacted
mainly,
you?
I've been publishing articles all my life, you know, basically in banding journals and things like that.
I see. So they read them.
They get around.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the people that are interested in that. You know.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Would you say that the banding of large birds is not as frequent here as it would be over in the Rockies or in the West? They're doing more. I think there's more interest there and understanding about it. I don't think people in the East know a heck of a lot about raptors and banding birds. I just don't think they do.
Well, primarily, the reason I kind of specialized in eagles after I started banding them in northern Ohio. Up until that point, I had never banded an eagle.
Okay.
But I was perfectly happy out there doing red-tailed hawks, which we didn't have here in Massachusetts, and great horned owls, which they had in abundance out there, and we had a few of here, but not that many. So I was going along nicely out there, and then Ronnie had this friend up in northern Ohio named Laurel Van Camp, and I'd seen an article on him that called Hawkman in Audubon magazine.
Okay.
And he was the Hawkman of Ohio, basically.
Wow.
And he says, I have this friend, Laura Van Camp, who has nests of bald eagles along Lake Erie that we could go up and check with him.
Wow.
Maybe band some young.
Okay.
But they were doing so poorly then that it was, you know, one or two young for the whole state was about all they were producing.
Wow.
This was in 1965.
I was saying the 60s because this was the DDT height.
Yep.
And that's what was ruining everything.
I went up there with Ronnie, and we went out with Laurel and banded a couple of nests, and I knew from that point on that, you know, I wanted to band eagles.
Okay.
So
but
when I got back,
you prefer the golden, don't you?
Well, I ended up that way, but not in the beginning. It was bald eagles.
Okay.
And when I got back from the Ohio trip, I wrote to the Alaska Fish. The only place that we still had bald eagles in abundance back in those days was Florida and Alaska.
Okay.
So I wrote back, and at this point in time, I was actually a bona fide park ranger.
Okay.
So I wrote to the Alaska Fish and Game and tried to get permission. I knew I'd have to go through a whole lot of red tape in order to be able to band eagles in Alaska, because I had to do the same thing to do in Ohio. But anyway, they had sort of a clique up there, and they didn't want anybody from the lower 48 coming up and crashing it.
Oh, gee.
Even though they had an abundance of them, they didn't want anybody else touching them either. So that became evident after several letters of correspondence of various departments up there.
Back and forth.
Yeah, they gave me the old runaround up there for sure. But anyway, I was at that fall, I was at the Falconers meeting at Kankakee, Illinois, and feeling down in the dumps because I'd gone through all this business of trying to get permission to band eagles.
To go up to Alaska.
Yeah,
right.
So anyway, I was sitting at the bar, trying to drown my sorrows, and a guy named Chuck Sindelar came over and sat down, and he asked me what I was down in the dumps about, and I just told him what I'd gone through with the Alaska Fish and Game.
Right.
And he said, well, I know this guy. He introduced himself and said he was an eagle bander from Wisconsin.
Okay.
Oh.
In fact, he was in charge of the project up there.
Oh, wow.
But he said that it was state operated, and they didn't want any more than they had already for participants. But he said he knew this guy in Michigan who was working primarily on ospreys, but he was doing eagle surveys too.
Okay.
And he said you might link up with him and do some eagle banding up there too.
In Michigan?
In Michigan.
Okay.
And he gave me his name, Sergei Postupelki.
Oh, my.
And so as soon as I got back from the
Illinois
meeting,
trip, yep.
I wrote a letter. He gave me his address and everything to Sergei.
Okay.
And I never heard anything from him. This was like in the middle of winter, February, I think
Wow.
it was. So I figured, well, I was kind of volunteering my services and all that kind of stuff. And I figured, well, he probably thinks I'm some kind of a nut. You know, I just get this letter out of the clear blue.
Right.
And he doesn't know me from Adam, you know. Nobody's called him about anything.
Right.
So I kind of went back and started right after that nesting season started out there in February, and then with the horned owls, and I started doing the horned owls and the red-tailed hawks for the season. And got through most of that, and I get this postcard in the middle of May. It says, if you want to go banding eagles with me, meet me at Mayo. About a week it was, and it's from that date.
Oh, my gosh.
And
which is up in Michigan.
This was in Michigan, yeah.
Oh,
Mayo,
my gosh.
Michigan, yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, Ronnie was in charge of at that point in time, my best friend was my captain.
Okay.
On the ranger force.
So
he could arrange things, you know, if I had little whims
Yep.
that I had things to tend to.
Wow.
So I told him I need the weekend off, you know, for next week. Not only I had to work on weekends, you know, as a ranger.
Yep.
He says, okay, yeah, take it off. And so I took it off and met Sergei up there, and that was the beginning of a 35-year-old relation that ended up us banding over 1,000, 2,000 eagles.
2,000 eagles. Now that was bald eagles?
Bald eagles, yeah.
2,000 bald eagle babies. With the mothers not happy.
Well, no, you don't have to worry about anything with eagles. They're not at all aggressive around the
Oh, they aren't.
No, it's a lot easier than banding horned owls.
Yeah, they're the worst probably.
But the only problem there was getting up these 100-foot trees.
Oh, yeah, that's a little thing.
Yeah, right.
That's a small matter.
Right.
But
every one of the birds has their own issues as far as trying to do them, trying to get the bands on them.
But as I got so, banding bald eagles became so blasé that, and it was nestlings too.
Okay.
But every fall I went, from 1960 on, I went to this trapping station that I operate in Pennsylvania, on one of the ridges of Pennsylvania.
I remember when you've gone there, yeah.
In fact, I started out going down there from here, right out of high school.
Yep.
That was my main reason for not going on beyond high school.
Okay.
I kept sitting there in September and watching the hawks go over, and I knew they were going over Hawk Mountain.
Oh, my.
And I wanted to get out of
You wanted to be there.
I wanted to get out of that school as fast as possible and get down to Pennsylvania. And so that first year down, all I had was a motor scooter that first year, and it burned out in Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh.
So I had to go the rest of the way via Greyhound bus and Reading Railroad to get up to Hawk Mountain.
Oh, you were bound and determined you were going to get there.
Oh, God, yes. And then when I got there, I had no way to get down to get groceries or anything, but there was a couple there from Wilmington, a couple of guys from Wilmington.
Wilmington, Massachusetts?
No, Delaware.
Delaware. Okay.
And they graciously consented to take me into town whenever I needed
to get supplies,
provisions or anything.
Right.
We were all in this one Adirondack shelter.
Wow.
For about a month.
Wow.
But then the second year I went down, I had another motor scooter that I called the Cushman Eagle of all things.
Oh, gee. Was that better?
That one made it, yeah.
Good,
that one made it down and back again. And then I met, when I was down there, this guy named Robertson, Chester Robertson, who had a banding station going up just east of Hawk Mountain on the same ridge and the same flow of birds.
Okay.
And he showed us how to catch red tails, basically. And it was fascinating. Everybody, up until that point, everybody would tell you, well, they don't eat well, they're on migration, you can't get them interested in anything like that.
Okay.
Well, that was a bunch of hooey.
Hooey, it worked. It worked well.
Yeah, they're going after anything that looks like an easy meal.
Wow.
But you got to get their attention with something. We were using live pigeons, pull them up on a line up in
Oh,
front
okay.
of the trap. And then
Okay.
you draw it back down slowly to the trap as they approach.
Right.
And if they hit, then you hit the trigger on the trap.
And close
a
it.
hoop went up over them.
Yep.
So this is how I got started in Pennsylvania. The year after I met him, I went down there with fully engaged with all kinds of stuff for catching hawks on the ridge.
Wow.
And
wow.
a friend of mine from Mass here named Dave Crow.
Uh-huh.
And we went down there. We camped out on one of these Adirondack shelters up the ridge from Hawk Mountain, and commandeered this rock pile and put up a trapping station there.
Wow.
And
So
I
you're trapping them in flight.
Yeah, as they're migrating.
Yes.
And this is where I started
Wow.
having encounters with golden eagles.
Okay.
But they were negative ones because I was trying to catch red tails at the time.
And you didn't want the golden.
Well, the problem is that they were so big and destructive, they'd come in and wipe out my trapping station.
Oh, dear.
Bust all the lines.
And you'd have to start over again.
And it would devastate the place.
Yep.
So,
Okay, so you said that the golden eagles were destroying your.
yeah, when they would come in, it would be they
They're
would
big.
respond nicely to a pigeon on a string. The young ones would, anyway. It couldn't interest an adult in much of anything.
Okay.
Because they're so well fed that they can probably perform the whole migration without eating.
Right. They don't
But
even.
the
need
young
your
ones
food.
are always hungry,
Hungry.
you know.
Yep.
They're having a rough time just making it.
Right.
So they were pretty responsive, and they'd come in, and boy, if they hit that pigeon, then they'd take it right away, break with all the lines and everything attached, and the loopholes, break the loopholes
Oh,
down,
my.
and everything else.
You'd have to fill it all up again.
So I for many years there, I didn't flap purposely. I didn't flap for golden eagles because, you know, I couldn't handle them with that size trap.
Right.
But that changed over the years. I got so sick and tired of doing nothing but bald eagles, and these were really exciting moments when they did come in. The adrenaline was really flowing. You know?
Right. Right.
But trying to get them to come in slow enough
To not destroy
to
everything.
not destroy everything
Right.
was the problem. But eventually, I developed a technique of kind of letting the pigeon. I used to pull the pigeon down and pin him down to the trap, and that gave him a stationary target to hit.
Okay. Okay.
But this was not a good idea because they hit it.
Oh.
What I did eventually was just let the pigeon have all kinds of slack.
Okay.
And when you see that eagle coming, he'll get out of the way
Right.
at the last minute.
Right.
And the result is the eagle overshoots,
Right.
ends up sitting on the ground.
Okay. Confused.
And then he walks back.
Okay.
No more
okay.
destruction, you know. Then
Right.
I have to wait till he folds up his wings and preferably even bends down to
To grab the eagle.
break into the pigeon.
Yep. The pigeon.
But that was always hairy until I finally built a bigger trap and didn't have to worry about that anymore.
Okay. Okay.
But anyway, that was in the early days. That's how we caught golden eagles on the ridge. And I only caught like 5 to 10 a year down there.
Okay.
And this opportunity, when it came to trap out on the Continental Divide
Okay.
with this other friend of mine who used to be in Ohio, his name Dave Bittner,
Okay.
and he did his thesis on turkey vultures in Ohio, and I kind of took over his vulture habitat
Okay.
and banded vultures in Ohio after he left.
Okay.
He went out west and started working on the super buzz,
Okay.
California conda.
Wow.
And
Oh, wow.
when he got out there, they have these conda traps that have like bars, which they put dead carcasses up on top of,
Okay.
and then they just
Waited.
wait underneath them
Right.
until they came in, and they reach up and grab them right through the bars.
Oh, they grab their feet.
Yeah, their
Oh,
legs,
okay.
right.
So they wouldn't be attacked. It's sort of like a shark tank. I mean, a shark cage, in a way,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they're above
yeah,
you.
yeah.
And they
But
can't
anyway,
get to you.
they were catching golden eagles the same way. They were coming into these
Oh.
carcasses too.
And they weren't harming the bird.
What? No,
They didn't harm the bird when they grabbed the legs.
Oh no,
Okay.
no. In fact, it's a good struggle between who's going to win after
Okay,
you grab
yeah.
the legs. But anyway,
They didn't like that. They didn't like that.
Anyway, he got into eagle banding out there because of that, and he's been doing nestling eagles there. You know, these clips that you see every once in a while of eagles cruising around the wind turbines out
Yep, yep.
on these hillsides.
Yep, yep.
He's directly involved in the mortality resulting from those things.
That's just big.
Yeah, he's always after the power companies on what they're covering up as far as eagles that get killed by those things.
Oh, I'm sure every bird, all different kinds of birds.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that get killed by those things. But
Unfortunately,
anyway,
yeah.
he came looking for me to go out and help him trap eagles on the divide.
Okay.
Because he knew I was trapping them there in Pennsylvania.
And, yep.
And like I said, for a while there, it was actually got paid.
Wow.
And the expenses, all
Yep.
my expenses, and
Yep.
he paid my expenses out there too.
Okay.
And back.
The travel.
And yeah, for
Yeah.
the first couple of years, but then his funding started dwindling.
Drying up.
And then it came to, I had to no pay anymore.
Wow.
And he'd pay my expenses out there, and once I got there too.
Yeah.
But
Not for your work,
no more
though.
salary.
Yeah.
That's
Can you show me now the belt here is one you would use to do the owls and the eagles?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
This is just a general belt
This is
that goes around your waist.
Well, I could probably get the thing on here.
And that's for any, when you're climbing a tree, this is what you need.
That's
Very
what
heavy.
It's what I need. that's
Just
for
watch
sure.
your wire though. Careful of.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Hold it for him, Mike. Pull it up. That's it. There we go. Now, is this the usual one that everyone uses, or is it a different?
Something similar that fits them, yeah.
Okay, so everybody uses the same kind of belt.
Pretty much, yeah, in the tree climbing world, yeah.
Okay. It isn't much different really than the lineman on the
Oh,
electric.
it's a hell of a lot different.
It is different? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they have one like one strap, and that's
I
about all I
see,
have
I
to
see.
worry
You
about. They
have
don't have to
lots-
worry about coming down. I have to haul this rope up with me to
Okay.
come down with.
Okay, okay.
You know, so not like it is.
Right.
First thing when I came to a tree, this thing would be doled out on itself underneath the base of the tree.
Okay.
And then I take that end, tie it to this
Back there.
hook right here,
Okay.
and start up the tree with those. Sure got the climbing irons.
Oh, that's okay. Don't worry about it. But it's just an idea that there's an awful
This-
lot of equipment that goes with this.
Where's the other side? Yeah, there we are.
How long? Now this rope has got to be several hundred feet long, right?
Well, this is a short one. This
Right,
is,
but I mean the
this
ones
is
you use.
150, I believe.
Right. But they can be a couple hundred feet long.
No, wait a
Depending on
minute.
how
no, I
far.
think the most I had was, yeah, 150.
Okay.
150. This is the 100-footer, I think. Though.
Okay.
It's not the longest one I have.
So that goes around the tree?
This will go around the tree. Right?
Okay.
And of course, the tree gets slimmer the higher up
As you go
get.
up higher, sure.
So when I got to the next, when it started getting uncomfortable because it was too loose.
Right. You
then
pull it.
All I have to do is pull on this tail, take up the slack,
Okay.
and see that automatically
Locks in.
locks in. and
Oh,
that-
okay.
That's setting.
So that keeps you safe. It doesn't slide out.
Yeah, it goes only one. It's a one-way.
One way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's
Very
once I
good.
get started up the tree, and then when I come up to branches, I have to unsnap. And
Each
go around
section of
each
branch.
One, each
Oh,
one
my gosh.
separately.
It's a workout. It's a workout, really. Is.
Oh my gosh. And you get the leg irons on to hold up to help your feet move up.
Yeah, the feet are not the problem. It's getting the belt around
Right.
various obstacles.
Obstacles on the
way up.
tree. Yeah. Wow. Now, we have some questions that Mr. Bevan sent from Colorado. Glenn's going to ask you, they're simple questions that he was curious about. This is the man from the Bird Conservancy.
So yeah, looks like we already got the first two
Okay.
just through conversation. But obviously there was a time when bald eagles were critically endangered. Did you ever imagine a day when they would be removed from the federal listing? And did you have confidence that their populations would recover?
Well, toward the latter part of it, sure.
Okay.
But in the beginnings, everybody was operating under the illusion they would become extinct before an X amount of time. You know?
Right.
And we were just kind of struggling with the remnants of the population and grabbing at straws as far as.
How far down did they go? How low did they go as far as
like I
dangerous numbers?
Well, yeah, but like I say, that year that we did the mess on Lake Erie in 1965, I think that the 2 or 3 youngsters that we banded that were the only ones that were there. The whole state.
Oh, gee, the whole state.
Now they're banding, they're roughly not banding anymore, but I think the state produces about 200 or 300 young.
A year?
A year.
Oh, that's great. Ohio, you mean?
Ohio.
In Ohio.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the most prevalent states that you see bald eagles? Are they everywhere now?
Pretty much.
Okay, good. They don't mind, would they be down as far south as a hot area like Arizona, or?
Oh, sure.
Oh, they don't care about that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
All they need is water and fish.
Okay, they'll be happy.
And they're happy, yeah.
Okay.
Have you seen a lot of bald eagles coming to North Andover and the surrounding towns?
One will cruise over Lake Kachikwick every once in a while.
I've seen them.
To check it out for fish.
Yeah.
And they regularly cruise up and down the Merrimack
River. Yep.
So you're liable to see them.
They're here somewhere.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you don't know of any specific nests in North Andover?
Oh, certainly not. No,
okay.
Not that close. There's some out in the Connecticut River Valley.
And what's their range then?
There's actually one in Methuen on the banks of the Merrimack.
Okay. What is their range for travel?
Oh, mercy.
Big.
5 to 10 miles. It depends. You know,
wow.
They nest where they nest, and there certainly aren't going to be that many fish around where they nest at.
Right.
So the males must range 5, 10 miles sometime to get
to head to the fish
and lake or further down up and down the river.
To bring it back to the nest.
Yeah, they go enormous distances to catch fish.
Wow. And they carry it in their talons and have no trouble.
Yeah.
Back to the nest. That's amazing.
And what about owls? What can we expect to see around here?
Well, the owl situation has changed radically in the last 30 years or so. We used to have an abundance of not an abundance, but plenty of great horned owls and plenty of screech owls all over the place.
Right.
And the saw-whet owl, which you see me holding there on the
That's the baby. That's from Wisconsin, correct?
No, the nest was in Michigan, but that was an offshoot of our eagle banding.
Okay.
You know, an incidental along the way of the eagle banding operation.
Okay.
And unfortunately, the goshawks were too, so that's what.
That's what injured you. Yes.
Yeah. Yes. But we have actually saw-whet owls, or had them at that point in time, nesting in my boxes over at Ipswich River Wildlife Sanctuary.
Oh, okay.
And that was another one that's very popular with the kids, because they were easily, when you went to band the young, they posed.
Oh, gee.
For pictures.
This is what he's doing.
Yeah.
He looks like a little statue.
Yeah. I've got an album here I can show you if you want. But,
oh my gosh.
It's got some of the spectators that went along on these things with owls sitting one on the shoulder.
With the shoulder, or they're like a little parakeet.
Oh, yeah. They're great for doing that.
Yeah.
And,
good for a photo op.
So it was a lot of fun banding saw-whet owls. It's not so much fun doing screech owls, because they tend to stiffen up and play possum plays with are dead. You stand them up and they fall over.
Oh no.
The only indication that you have that they're alive is
they
snap the bill every once in a while.
Okay.
Like a typewriter.
Right.
And they squint the eyes, you know, and
they don't like this.
They're just terrible.
They don't like this.
Posing for pictures.
Yeah.
But the Sawettes are hams.
Yeah.
They sit there and they do things and.
They could have a reality show.
Yeah.
Now, are they endangered? Are they?
We used to have a ton of screech owls around, but
yeah, they're gone. You said.
What happened is the horned owls seem to be phasing out, and what's left over is the only thing that's not developed are wetland areas.
Okay.
Swamps.
Right.
And horned owls were not much for swamps to begin with. They like open country, farm country, and upland hunting.
Right.
So there aren't that many horned owls around here.
Because there aren't enough meadows.
Yeah.
The meadows are gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. But barred owls, which is a smaller cousin without the ears, are swampists.
They like swamps.
They love swamps.
Oh, okay.
They stay in the swamp.
So they
don't care to go out of the swamp.
Right. They're in abundance.
So they're all these subdivisions that encircle a swamp. They all have barred owls nesting in their backyard.
I hear them. I hear them behind our backyard. Yeah.
And out in the swamp.
Yeah.
This is what they know. These boxes that I was putting up around in this area for them, they were really easy to get to use a box.
Okay.
Because they like I say, they stay in the woods that you find them in.
Okay.
And they probably know every tree in that woods by heart. And you put a box up like that,
they're happy.
They're happy. Yeah, they couldn't be happy.
What is their lifespan? About 4 years, 5 years?
Oh, more than that. But they're not like eagles or anything like that. Probably, I think I have a barred owl recovery that's 17 years old. I think.
Tell the recovery of the one that the old. Remember with the train track? I forget the story.
Oh, the one that got hit by a train.
Yes, that you had banded.
Yeah, well, she was.
Where was this? I forget where it was.
This was in Ohio.
Ohio.
This was in Ohio.
Okay.
And the bird was hit by a train. I banded it in '77.
Okay.
And it recovered in 2005.
Wow.
But she had a broken wing.
Oh, she wasn't even killed by the train.
She wasn't hit by. She wasn't killed by the train.
She should buy a lottery ticket.
But they put her in rehab.
Okay.
And they got her to the point where she could fly again, but not well enough to be released.
To be released. Okay.
So she was kind of passed around from rehab center and places like that for maintenance.
Okay.
And we lost track of her for a while. But she finally recovered, came to surface in 2000, and I think she died in 2012.
From 1977.
Yeah.
Wow.
But of course,
that's a long time.
Last part of that was
amazing.
That last part of that was in captivity.
Right, but still, it was just amazing life.
And she was a breeding bird at that time because when she was hit by the train, she had a big brood patch on her.
Okay.
And it was that time of the year when they're nesting down there.
Oh dear, so those probably died.
Those youngsters probably
they
died
didn't make it. Yeah, she never came back.
Yeah.
Yep, that's amazing. I knew there was a very good story about an old one. Really.
Yeah, there's somebody is publishing something out there, and they wanted information on the old owl. Well, I really don't have it anymore. It's out there. A publication called Hackback. They're rehabbers.
Okay.
And they put out this poop sheet, and she was written up in that years ago.
Oh, she was famous.
And I didn't even have a copy of that.
Okay.
And my banding records were, I had everything, but they wanted specific dates for this article.
Okay.
And I could only surmise from the data that I had. I'd lost all of my recoveries.
Okay.
In the move from North Andover to
Methuen. Okay.
So I couldn't just look up her recovery.
Right, it wasn't easy.
And it would have been easy, but I had her banding when the date that I banded her. We didn't even have her number at that point, but I could tell. I knew she was from a little town called Fernald.
Ohio, Fernald. Okay.
And I did 2 owlets.
In Fernald.
On that day.
Yep.
I knew the date she was banded.
Okay.
And I did 2 owlets in Ohio on that. No, I knew she was from Vernal, so I looked up her date,
Okay,
the date that I did in the year. I knew the year.
right.
And I looked up that date by the year and found out that she was from Vernal.
Okay,
But it was still one of two birds in that nest.
okay.
So we had to go back. I called up this guy who was into that rehab center at that time,
Uh-huh.
and he was searching through their files down
To
there
find more
to
information.
find more information on it.
Right.
And he finally did locate where she ended up at. too.
Wonderful, good.
So yeah,
That was some kind of story.
that
Wow.
was like the hunt for Red October.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So do you have any more questions for Jack, or have we finished the list?
We touched on most of what was on the list.
Okay, excellent,
I'm
excellent.
fascinated about the boxes. Are there any, would people be able to find any of these owl boxes around this area anymore, or have they all?
No, I'm sure they're all gone now, but there's no really, there's not much sense in putting up any anymore either.
No?
Okay,
And unless you're dedicated to cleaning squirrels out of these things just before nesting season, it's not gonna work.
So
Yeah.
they're not set it and forget it type
No.
things. They
yeah,
really
you
need a
have
lot
to,
of-
they need maintenance.
Now, the barred owls, on the other hand, like I say, they're easy to get into these nesting boxes. But they're kind of a different design from these. They're made out of 12-inch stock, and they're 2 feet deep, and no top. You don't put any holes in them.
Oh,
Just leave the top open.
open.
And
Huh.
you mount this on a big 2x6.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
And it's got to be hauled up
That's a heavy,
30
heavy
feet,
job.
30 to 40 feet.
Wow.
And they're really, for me, as a climber, they're easy to put up. As I climb up to the first horizontal branch, and I bring up a tow line with me,
Oh, and pull it up from there.
throw it over that branch,
Yep,
and have the person, you have to have a gaboon on the ground.
okay,
You have the person on the ground tie that end of the one end of the line around the box,
uh-huh,
and it goes around a certain way behind the ahead of above, in front of the 2x4. It's got a 2x6
uh-huh.
that is mounted on. It's got to go in front of that, or it's going to be in the way. And then I pull up on that end of it, and he takes up the slack on the other end of it.
Uh-huh.
And it just goes up there step by step until it gets up to that crotch. Then I have him hold it there.
While you go up higher.
No, I just
Oh,
put that
okay.
position there. I have holes pre-drilled in the 2x6, in the 2 by
6.
yeah 2x6. Yeah,
Right,
2x6.
right,
That's
right.
what somebody have 2x4 in there.
Yeah, I know.
2x6.
Uh-huh.
I have holes pre-driven in 2x6.
Okay,
And I just put the nails in, jockey the box around so it's more or less straight,
uh-huh.
and one 16-penny nail and two 8-pennies on either side.
And
of
it's in,
it. And it's up there.
it's up there. Huh,
And like I said,
that's
these
a lot of
things-
work.
Oh yeah, that sounds like
That's a lot of
a
work.
pretty big undertaking.
Yes.
And these things are virtually species selective. I've seldom had anything move into them, except barred owls.
cool.
Okay. Nobody else likes the open top.
That's what.
They don't
that's
want the
what
open
this-
top.
Well, the thing of it is, if you put up this size of the box is a perfect size for raccoons.
Oh,
If you drill a hole in the front, put a roof on this thing and drill a hole in the front,
you'll have raccoons.
big enough for a barred owl,
Yeah.
you're gonna get raccoons.
Okay.
But these topless jobs
Uh-huh,
from the ground, they don't look like they have a hole.
right,
There's any way to get into them,
right, so nobody bothers.
so nobody gets in.
Right.
Nobody bothers.
What is over at Brooks School? You put some things up at Brooks, a couple, remember you and
Well,
Mike went over?
That was a feeble attempt to try and get the horned owls that they had in Russell Woods at that time
Okay,
to take
Nest.
over Can. They nested in a spleeny squirrel nest. There wasn't a hell of a lot to it to begin with.
Oh, okay, okay,
But that's an old trick of theirs.
okay.
But we tried to salvage the situation by sticking a can up there
Right,
and putting the young ones in the can, hoping they would get used to that
okay,
as a nest site and use it the following season.
right.
Well, it turned out the following season was a hellacious
Winter,
snowy winter,
bad winter.
and so it filled up the can. It was not usable
So they couldn't
at
use
the
it.
time when they could have used it.
Okay.
If they would have used it, because horned owls are not that regular in nesting.
Okay,
There are very few that nest every year. They have to be in prime habitat to do that.
I see.
Most of them are like on a every other year schedule, or
Okay.
some once every 5 years. Even.
Well, do they still come back to the
No,
same
that's
area?
the problem.
That's the other thing.
It's too far in there.
They won't.
Their little brain just doesn't register that far ahead.
Okay,
No, I've seen photos of the great horned owl in heron nests.
Oh, sure.
Now,
yeah.
do they just look around and find whatever nest looks nice and then they just
They
decide
take
to
it
move
over.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
They start nesting before anything else is around to.
oh, so they can take the nest
so
first?
They just take whatever is available.
Oh,
to them,
okay,
yeah.
So they don't sound very choosy.
They nest in eagle nests up in Michigan, but there's not that too many horned owls up there. They don't like that habitat. It's too closed in.
Yeah,
But we had this one eagle nest that was in a big forest, but it was above the surrounding habitat enough that eagles could get into this pine tree
okay,
and nest. But then the hunting club that owned this thing started having problems. They're having problems getting people to finance them anymore because the younger generation doesn't hunt.
I see, yeah.
And so they're selling off timber
Oh, gee, they're
to,
wiping out the woods.
to just
Yes,
pay the
yes.
taxes
Oh,
on the
no.
place. So
Ugh.
they cut all the timber. They can only
Oh.
cut so close to an eagle nest
Oh, gee.
per se, which doesn't bother the eagles at all.
Okay,
But all this open country invites horned owls to come in
Yeah.
and hunt.
right, right.
And we had this one eagle nest that was in this last patch of woods there. Like I said, they were able to. They were only able to get so close to that eagle nest.
Right.
And that was what was left. Well, I climb up there, and what do I find? Well, first of all, I start putting on the climbing irons and doling out the rope.
Uh-huh.
I look down, and there's this eaglet. Didn't even notice it. It was all grown up with ferns. And it's got
Wait, on the ground?
Yeah, on the ground.
Oh, dear.
It's dead
Oh, dear.
and headless.
Oh,
And that right away, I knew damn well what
It
I was
was
getting was a great horned
an
owl.
owl.
Because when their food is really, really abundant, they'll catch it and just eat the head off and then go for another one.
Oh, dear.
Oh boy, oh boy.
So they get into turkey
Wild turkeys?
enclosures,
Yeah.
and do the same thing. They
Oh.
race around and eat all the heads
Oh,
off
my
and
gosh.
leave the carcass.
And leave everything, they don't care about it.
But, right. Well, apparently they consider the brains a delicacy.
Okay, okay.
And if it's abundant, that's all.
That's all they want.
Anything that's abundant, they'll just eat the head off.
Yeah, and leave.
Grab another one.
Oh, gee.
But anyway, I climbed the nest,
Uh-huh.
and there's still another youngster up there,
Live.
alive. Yeah.
Wow.
So I banded and everything, loaded down for taking blood samples and whatever the assistant on the ground was taking at that
Okay.
time. But I knew that nest had no future because
Yeah.
that owl knew where that nest was.
And it was going to come back.
It knew that it had another youngster up there.
Yep, yep, yep.
But we let the person out there watching the next couple of days, but it disappeared too.
Yeah, yeah.
So apparently, but that would have never happened under normal circumstances if the hunting club hadn't had that.
Yeah, the
area
woods were
cleared.
still there. If the woods were still there.
Yeah, if the
Yeah.
woods were still there wouldn't be any horned
No
owls
problem.
out there
Yeah,
to
no
do that.
problem. Yep. It's
Hey,
interesting.
Jack, there's so much knowledge that you have. Is there a sponsor out there in the country
or a
who
university?
would fund a book of this history that you know?
Yeah, we got to find somebody.
Well, nobody cares about eagles anymore, I'll tell you that right now.
Well, that's what I said about having it over in the west. They do. Not in the east.
Yeah, but not for the same reason.
Okay.
You know, out there they're concerned with they're getting into those damn wind machines.
Oh, the
Yes,
turbines.
the
Okay.
turbines.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Turbines,
being,
you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
killed.
like I said, they're
Yeah.
being well studied on that account.
Okay. Okay.
But nobody's doing much of anything about it.
About
That's what
the
problem.
to save them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, your story has to be published
Somewhere.
so the public will know what's happening
Right.
and they can talk to.
I've outlived my usefulness to society. I don't know whether
I
you
don't know
figure
about
that
that.
out.
No, 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 no.
But the eagles are passé now. Give you an example. You know, I spent most of my life dedicated to banding bald eagles.
Okay.
Right.
And in fact, at one point in time, a guy named Dave Evans and I
Uh-huh.
were responsible for banding more than half of all the bald eagles banded in North America.
Oh my gosh. For a year. For one season?
No, for the total.
Oh, forever.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
No, this is the story.
Wow.
Which
Where's Mr. Evans from?
Wisconsin.
He's a Wisconsin person.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But now, and back in those days, if you had a trapping station and you caught an eagle incidental to your operation,
Right.
you were allowed to band it.
Okay.
Otherwise, you had to have special eagle banding permit,
Permit. Okay.
which of course I had. you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
In fact, I was one of only 2 people in Michigan that were allowed to band eagles in Michigan
Wow.
because they didn't want people out competing
Yeah.
for nest sites.
Right. Now, is this
Anyway.
in the 70s?
Yeah, well, the 70s and the 80s and
Okay.
up until
Okay.
fairly
On and
recent.
on. Yeah.
But now, my buddy, one of my banding buddies from Pennsylvania moved up to Maine,
Okay.
and he had a sub-permittee working for him, and somehow or other an eagle blended into their operation,
Ah.
and so he banded it. 'Cause,
Okay.
you know, it used to be that if you caught anything like that incidental to your operation, then you could band it.
Yeah. They want you to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he got this nasty note from the banding office, don't band any, that said, basically, don't band any more eagles. We don't want any more eagles banded.
Oh my gosh.
So, you know, like I said, I've outlived my usefulness.
I
to
can't believe
society.
that. I wonder why though they're saying that. I mean, they think that they're so prolific now. They don't care about eagles
Well, no,
anymore.
They've got all the data that they want.
They need, yeah, yeah.
On bald eagles, and they don't want people messing around
Until
with them.
there's another disaster,
Right.
and then they'll have
Yeah,
to start
but-
all over again.
Yes.
Well, they'll do it, like, one thing that they're doing out west, and what we did in Montana, was put satellite transmitters on all the
Oh, I remember you told me about
all
that.
the
Yes,
adults.
yes, yes.
that we caught.
Yep.
Now, we didn't do any of the youngsters because their life expectancy is not very good. Probably
Right.
about 80% of them die of starvation
Right.
the first year.
Right.
But these satellite transmitters lasted like up to 5 years.
And they were expensive to put on
They were
though.
$5,000 a piece.
Each, yes.
So anyway, we were putting on the adults that we caught these satellite transmitters. And
Uh-huh.
we got, I think, from the satellite company, you could get any time period you wanted, by the hour, by the day, by the week.
By the year,
They would send
whatever.
you reports.
Yeah, yeah.
And of course, the more reports you got, the more expensive it was.
Right,
So you
right.
figured out the minimum number of reports you needed
Okay,
and tell them that's what you wanted to have.
right.
But anyway, these ones that we tracked, we got more data from those, and we that year that we had the best eagle banding year. I actually caught 8 golden eagles in one day.
Well, I remember you told, yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Up there,
amazing.
that one
Yes.
day.
Yep.
That good year that we had.
Amazing.
In fact, the whole project out there was pretty. I've got another one. I've got another picture of when we had a good day. There was one year we got down there. We couldn't band up on the divide, because it was all snowed in.
Okay.
And this was like September.
Oh, wow.
But
Wow.
so we had to move the operation out on the prairie.
Okay.
And it was still kind of brutal out there, but.
Well,
you
the
had to
wind
get
was
around.
bad, I would imagine.
Well, the wind is little to do with it. In fact, the more wind, the better the eagles like it.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
They fly on the wind. They glide on the wind.
Yeah, they're riding the currents
Okay.
on the sides of the mountain, you know.
Okay.
So they love the wind.
Yeah.
They love the wind. But anyway, we had to move out on the prairie with the operation and just catch birds that were settling down for like when they came at the end of the day looking for food. You know?
Right, right.
And we set out a bunch of radio control bow traps instead of the manual type that we were using up on the
ridge.
ride.
Yeah, okay.
And these things had all kinds of, they were just modified radio, model airplane radio control.
Transmitters?
Equipment,
Yeah,
basically.
okay.
Modified to operate, to set off the bow trap.
Uh-huh.
And half the time they didn't work. And we had brutal conditions. Every night the temperature went down in the low single digits.
Mm.
And these things were battery operated, and those cold batteries sometimes just wouldn't work.
No, they would.
We had to go out 3 o'clock in the morning and put in warm batteries just before daybreak.
Oy.
And freezing your fingers off, you know, all the while in these sub-freezing temperatures. And anyway, but these things were, we'd bait them with roadkill that the local county patrol was supplying us with.
Okay, okay.
Mostly deer.
Yeah.
But these things were enormously successful when they were working.
Right.
One of them caught, a couple of them caught 2 eagles at one time.
Oh my gosh.
Twice in one day.
There were so many eagles out there.
And we had
now these were bald or golden?
Golden.
Golden, okay.
And we had several of these things out in the area. And one day we went out to check on the traps, and that was the day when the one trap, like I was saying, caught the two at a time twice.
Wow.
And other people were coming in. Well, this one guy that was putting on these satellite transmitters, he was the only one that knew how to sew those things in. They mounted on this little harness.
Okay.
That had to be hand sewed, individually fit, had to have
oh my gosh.
Just
Yikes.
the right amount of leeway.
Uh-huh.
And it mounted on a little backpack.
Okay.
The transmitter. And he could only do so many of these things, and they took all kinds of other measurements. And put potato markers too, a wing marker.
The wing,
on at the
okay.
same time.
Yeah.
That had to go through with like a pop rivet gun and go through flesh.
Okay.
On the bird's wing.
Between the bones.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was a ticklish operation.
Careful, very careful.
And they all had to be weighed and sexed, and he had this thing going on eye color. He wanted every eagle to have the eye photographed and the tail photographed.
Wow.
So all this had to be done before the bird could be, well, anyway, we're all standing around with eagles in our arms. And we decided it would be a good opportunity to get a gang release.
Oh, wonderful.
Of eagles.
Yep.
So I've got this picture in back.
Yep.
In the briefcase.
Okay.
It shows 7 eagles being released
at the same time. Oh my gosh, how amazing. Oh, amazing. Well, I can't thank you enough for all of this. Do you have any more questions that you can think of right off the bat?
This has been so
amazing.
Fascinating. Thanks
it's
so
amazing. Absolutely amazing. And Michael, do you have another question for him?
I think this is a highlight to get this onto the disc or tape.
Yep,
and then to distribute it to people who need to know about it.
Universities need to know about it. Wildlife refuges need to know about it.
It's all, I'm sure Dave got all the golden eagle stuff. record it for posterity.
No, but they needed to hear your own story, Jack.
The story is not here in North Andover.
No, it's all over the country.
Yeah.
It's everywhere. It's all over the country. They'll be interested in it.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will be interested in it. There may be people who still want to ban other types of birds, and you certainly have information about how best to go about that. I know you do. I mean, there's a lot of knowledge.
I can really say was my project is the barred owl boxes and
Right.
the horned owl cans, you know.
Right.
Everything else I've been working with other people.
Right, but you've improved it.
And
I'm sure you've improved it.
I was just their instrument.
Technical advisor. Well, I have to thank you, and I thank Glenn and Michael Goryansky.
Thank you for
and we had a great
inviting
time
me.
here. This was an absolutely wonderful program, and maybe we can we'll put up the photographs and have people be able to see those on the program here after we're done. We'll take tapes of those so that people can see some of the work, and if they want to contact you, call the studio, and I'm sure that we'll find you and be able to have you answer questions or go and do lectures in the colleges and schools.
Well, I don't think so.
Who knows? Who knows? You never know. Colleges, at least, to have the people there who want to do outside environmental work. I think that's important. For them to know the history.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
That's why we wanted to get together.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Karen, for pulling all this together.
Oh,
I know
you're
it was
welcome. You're welcome.
a little bit of work to get everyone in the same
Oh
room.
my gosh, it was fun. So thank you so much, and I think we are finished with this environmental program, and if we can think of other things to do in the future for the Friends of North Andover Trails, we'll be back. Definitely we will be back.